This is called Rebel Youth, and I mentioned Karl-Heinz Weinberger earlier. I'm going to mention him again. So he was this Swiss photographer from the 50s and 60s. And I think what's interesting with this story is when you look back to 80s styling, the 80s very much emulated the 50s. So these sort of nipped-in waists and hourglass silhouettes and big belts. And Miu Miu, for their fall winter 18 collection, looked at Karl-Heinz Weinberger, but then gave it this super 80s slant. So you've got the kind of like really extreme acid washes here. So it's very, very on trend and perfect for this story, and actually one of the main inspirations behind this story. So I mentioned Western, very, very important. I've called this subversive Western. So looking at all of these dark black colors, a lot of kind of zips and bondage wear references. Palm Angels are a really good collection to look at for this. And also Hardman, they're a new denim brand. This is the image on the left, new denim brand that are really worth looking at. They're a bit like Y Project, lots of kind of zips and exposed skin. So very subversive and very in your face. And then as far as Western aesthetic is concerned, just thinking about ideas like cinch back denim jackets and pleat front details. I love the idea here of switching the pleat front to the back, which is really lovely. And looking at reworked Western detailing and top stitching. And so this slide is all about two-tone. So looking at those Western details and making them very in your face with two-tone detailing. So maybe it's fabric blocking and color blocking. This trend really came from Calvin Klein, the Raf Simons Calvin Klein first collection. He put out all of these beautiful satin numbers, these shirts and jackets. And that story has really been emulated and taken on in the market, seeing lots of examples here of that trend. And then decorative details, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these Western details, some of them can get really, really pretty and really, really in your face. And, looking at shaped yokes. I particularly love the redone lookbook from fall 2018 here, with the Western detailing actually coming onto a denim skirt there rather than a jacket or a shirt, which is lovely. And then, of course, this being a very opulent story, we're looking at embroideries and surface decoration, eagles and scorpions and flowers and stars, all very Americana inspired. And then stud work. The next slide is all about stud work. We're seeing some beautiful Diamante studs in here. We're seeing very 80s influences. Another example here from Palm Angels with the seam detailing. And I also really love Pony Stone. They're another great juniors brand to look at, with their oversized dome studs in the shape of a heart on the back there, which is so great for this story. And as far as surface is concerned, really this is more about coatings and leather looks. Like I said, this story is more subversive. It's very glam. It's very Studio 54. So plasticky looks and leather looks here, silvers and bright reds and very kind of in-your-face effects. And then finally, as far as print and pattern is concerned, I said I was going to mention the Supreme jacket I mentioned earlier that was inspired by Jim Krantz, the photographer from the Marlboro adverts. So as you can see on the top right, we have the original photo, and the bottom right is the Supreme jacket. So you can see how similar those looks are. Other examples here are from people like Mother Denim and Stella McCartney. So to sum up this story, a few items and details to look into. We have the Western blouson, the snakeskin mini, the fringed shirt and the tasseled jean, a rhinestone rodeo suit, the statement jacket, the 80s waistcoat, the Daisy Duke shorts and the classic boot cut. And of course, the embellished shirt is really important. And then as far as details are concerned, we're looking at decorative rodeo, we're looking at two-tone, an 80s attitude, studded seams, and extreme fringe. And so as you can see on the following pages, I've just called out a few of those items. We have the rodeo blouson here from Palace Skateboards. We have the snakeskin mini from Topshop. We have the fringed shirt from MSGM and the tassel jean from Top Man. And the rhinestone rodeo suit from Topshop, which is really, really great in here. And then on the next page, we have a statement jacket from Valentino with the stars in here, the fringed waistcoat from Acne, the Daisy Dukes from Topshop, the classic bootcut jean from Wrangler, and the embellished shirt also from Topshop. So the last two stories were much more fashion driven and much more kind of runway and trend driven. The next two stories are much more youth and streetwear driven.